can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help businesses connect to their dream, relationships and partnerships. We do this in a few ways. One, we're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the strategy, accountability, and the full execution production. And number two, we're an easy button for a company's gifting. The gifting, staying top of mind to clients, partners, prospects, even staff from a culture perspective. People just send us the addresses. We do everything else. And it's kind of like a one-time gift. We like sending a campaign of gifts. So it's like, think 3 gifts a year for 3 to 4 years to come. So Jason, we kind of call ourselves the magic elves that run in the background to make it stress-free for a company to build amazing relationships. And, for me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I always look at ways to give to my best relationships. I found no better way over the past 15 years than do, one, profile the companies and people I admire and share with the world what they're working on. 2, send them sweet treats in the mail. So go to rise25.com or email support@rise25.com. Dr. Jeremy Weiss here. I am here with Tyler Lane. I'm the host of inspiredinsider.com, where I interview great, amazing entrepreneurs and founders. Tyler?
Jeremy, good to see you. My name is Tyler Lane. I host a podcast called Built to Convert, where we explore strategy, analytics, and how creativity comes together to drive meaningful growth. I'm also the founder of an agency called Session Interactive. It's good to be with you, Jeremy.
So tell people a little bit, just start off Session Interactive and what you do. And we're going to interview today the AI version of Brian Halligan. So this is a different type of episode. If you don't know Brian Halligan, he co-founded HubSpot, which is, I think, Tyler, worth billions of dollars at this point, but it was a startup to billions.
Yeah, big time. We were just at the...
you help people with HubSpot.
We do. We collaborate with individuals at the HubSpot analytics configuration level, and then we work with a variety of HubSpot partners that do a lot of the implementation. So yeah, it's been a good collaboration.
You were just at Inbound.
I was.
Also which is put on by HubSpot. What'd you think?
It was great. We did more of the conference adjacent component, where we set up a bunch of meetings and we're able to collaborate with individuals that attended the conference and chat with them, and then meet with a lot of our dedicated partners too, who we really enjoy seeing. And it was out in San Francisco this year. So again, we saw John, your co-founder, which was cool, and caught up a lot of people out there. It was good to switch it up from Boston.
So Session Interactive.
Yeah, exactly. So we're a performance marketing agency focusing on 3 core departments: SEO, which is an incredibly broad acronym these days, incorporating AEO and GEO and other components around that, content marketing, et cetera. Paid media, so that incorporates paid search, paid social, programmatic. And then lastly is really our foundational element around analytics, so attribution, configuration, consultation, et cetera, and trying to make sure we hone in and develop a cohesive strategy rather than just fixate on channel silos. So, and we help brands. We're agnostic in terms of our channel set, but we, B2B, D2C, SaaS companies, you name it, really fixated on those core elements around the mid-market enterprise sector.
Well, we have an interesting interview for everyone, which is the AI version of Brian Halligan. Okay, so we're not claiming this is not the real live Brian Halligan. This is an AI version. And I have a couple other episodes on my podcast who I had fun with. Actually, we're going to Delphi.ai, so it actually helps clone people in the way they clone people. You can ask them questions. Obviously, you have to upload things to the platform so it knows what to say on your behalf. But I actually had the founder of Delphi on the podcast. I had the AI version, and I also had the live version in one episode. But I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to bring Brian on the screen here, Tyler. So, all right. So we have Brian here, and we're gonna call Brian up right now, and
Bring.
Let's see.
Hey, it's Brian Halligan. I've scaled HubSpot from startup to $30 billion, and I can help with growth, leadership, or customer strategies. I also coach CEOs one-on-one if that's useful. What's on your mind?
It is useful, Brian. We're going to start off with just tell Tyler and I like the idea behind HubSpot originally.
Sure, happy to take you back. HubSpot started from a simple but powerful idea. The way people buy and sell was broken because traditional marketing and sales were interruptive and annoying. Dharmesh Shah and I saw that ads, cold calls, and spam were no longer effective. Instead, we imagined a method that would pull customers in by providing helpful, relevant content that would attract them naturally. This idea of inbound marketing flipped the old model on its head. We launched HubSpot in 2006 to build software around that inbound philosophy, helping companies attract visitors through blogs and content, turn them into leads, then into customers, and finally delight them so they'd come back and spread the word. The early days were all about proving the model worked, growing traffic, building a product, and creating a community. We wanted marketers to see HubSpot not just as a tool, but as part of a movement toward more human, trust-based marketing. That was the seed that grew into everything HubSpot is today. Does that fit what you were looking for?
It does. Thanks, Brian. We really appreciate that. Let's take it back even further. So if you were to building HubSpot today from scratch, how would AI reshape your approach in terms of inbounds and SEO? I'm curious.
If I were building HubSpot today from scratch, AI would reshape inbound and SEO in some seriously fundamental ways. Inbound marketing at its core is about attracting, engaging, and delighting with relevant content. AI now lets you massively scale and personalize that content creation. Instead of one-size-fits-all blog posts or social, you'd have AI helping churn out targeted ideas and first drafts tuned to audience segments, freeing humans to focus on strategy and creativity. SEO itself is more complex now. Google's search results aren't just 10 blue links anymore. AI influences what gets surfaced on the page, the answer box, featured snippets, and behind-the-scenes ranking signals. The old rank tracking tools feel a bit quaint. You'd lean heavily into first-party data and AI agents that dynamically optimize content and user experience based on live signals rather than fixed keyword targets. On a bigger picture, AI would let you turn inbound from a static funnel into a continuously learning flywheel. Your inbound marketing engine becomes a self-improving system guided by real user data, powered by AI-driven automation and insights. The goal remains delighting the customer, but AI amplifies your reach and relevance in ways that were unimaginable when we first started. Given what we know from HubSpot's current AI efforts, ChatSpot and Agent.ai, the AI copilot would be baked into the product and marketing so deeply that creating, optimizing, and personalizing inbound content and SEO tactics would be part of a seamless workflow. Everything integrated, real-time, and constantly getting smarter from user feedback. Does that fit with what you were imagining, or is there a particular angle you want to explore on how AI might upend the old playbook for inbound?
A question, Brian. I'm curious, as the company grew, what skills did you have to develop as a leader, and how did you change as a leader in the different stages of HubSpot?
Jeremy, as HubSpot grew, my leadership had to evolve from doing and deciding almost everything myself to stepping back and becoming a visionary delegator and culture carrier. Early on, it really felt like I had to sweat every detail. The classic startup CEO role, 90% hustle, 10% vision. But as we scaled, those days faded. I had to get comfortable with not having all the answers and start trusting others to take the reins on execution. That shift meant developing skills around team building, clear communication, and especially setting a long-term vision that others could rally behind. I learned that holding the company's mission and culture steady became my highest leverage activity. It was less about micromanaging and more about empowering managers to lead their teams effectively. I also became what we called at HubSpot the Chief Pothole Prevention Officer, constantly sniffing out systemic issues before they got too big and ripple through the organization. Around the 100 to 150 employee mark, informal communication and culture started to strain, and I had to up my game on over-communicating and bringing clarity. I shifted focus to discipline around hiring, promoting the right people, and replacing leaders who weren't fitting the company's scale needs. It's not easy, but almost always morale improves drastically after those changes. In the startup days, I was mostly a doer and problem solver. In scale-up mode, I had to become a coach, a vision sower, and a system designer. That means figuring out which decisions needed my personal attention versus which to delegate or abandon altogether, and always leading by example on culture and transparency to build trust at scale. Does that resonate with your experience? Or are you curious about any specific stage or challenge in the evolution?
Hey, Brian, thanks for that breakdown. How should marketers balance automation with authenticity when building audience trust? I think the biggest thing that we're seeing more and more these days is that, fatigue and cold outreach. We're also seeing with the advent of Gen AI, just the lack of authenticity across marketing campaigns.
Balancing automation with authenticity is one of the defining challenges and opportunities marketers face today. Automation gives you scale and efficiency, allowing personalization at levels that humans alone could never handle. But authenticity, that's what builds true audience trust and loyalty. Trick is to use automation as your amplifier, not your replacement. Let AI handle the repetitive, data-driven tasks like segmenting your audience, personalizing messaging dynamically, or suggesting next steps, while your human team crafts core narratives, lives the brand values authentically, and engages one-on-one when it truly counts. HubSpot's journey taught us that trust isn't easily earned. Sales and marketing historically hover around just 5% trust levels. So what makes trust stick is being radically transparent, consistent, and human, even if AI is behind much of the outreach. The automation has to serve that mission, not undercut it by feeling robotic or overly engineered. Also, from a practical angle, transparency around automation can reinforce authenticity. Customers appreciate knowing when AI is helping personalize their experience versus human advice. That trust-building openness matters more than many marketers realize. Finally, great marketing mix isn't about automating everything to the nth degree, but designing systems where human artistry and AI power coexist symbiotically. The feedback loop should constantly refine voice so authenticity scales with automation rather than eroding under it. How do you see your team navigating this balance right now?
Brian, I'm wondering, you have an interesting way of that shaped you as a CEO, which is how you got feedback from the team. Can you explain to people how you got feedback from the team?
How I got feedback from the team was a pretty intentional mix of formal and informal. Early on at HubSpot, we didn't do weekly one-on-ones. Those can often get caught up in career chit-chat and lose focus, so we leaned more into monthly check-ins and broadly inclusive forums. I embraced public feedback in group settings early on, though over time I shifted to more private, candid conversations because public critiques sometimes damaged trust more than they helped. But the real kicker for me was an annual 360 review run by my co-founder Dharmesh. That was pure gold. He'd survey a group across the org, board members, executives, frontline folks, even customers, and aggregate candid scores and open-ended commentary on me as CEO. It was humbling and illuminating, like getting a 20-page report filled with features and bugs about how I was showing up. It forced me to take real stock and create personal performance plans. Transparency in sharing that with the company and board built a level of trust few CEOs see. And then there were the everyday moments, the gotta sec chats, the hallway quick check-ins, sitting down with customers or frontline employees to see reality for myself. Those grounded me. It's a system of layered feedback loops, anonymous surveys for honest insights, structured one-on-ones for focused development, public forums for culture setting, and unfiltered FaceTime for truth meeting. If you do that well, it creates a culture where feedback isn't feared, it's expected and valued. Does that fit the kind of process you're curious about? Or are you wondering about how I adapted this approach as we scaled to thousands of employees?
Hey, Brian, that's really helpful insight. I think switching gears a little bit, what metrics or signals do you think will define SEO success in the AI?
Got it. The first thing to say is that traditional SEO success metrics like rankings and backlinks have definitely lost some of their clarity in the AI era. Google's search results pages now show direct answers, featured snippets, ads, and other elements that break the simple rank first, win clicks model. The variability from user to user and context to context means chasing pure rank can be a fool's errand. What gets much more interesting are signals tied to real user engagement and brand presence in AI-generated content and conversational search, kind of how your brand shows up in the AI answer boxes or chat interfaces. Measuring how your brand or content influences these AI-driven paths will be a new frontier. Beyond that, metrics that reflect sustained user value and relevance come into the spotlight. Things like the quality and longevity of traffic cohorts, how content sparks user interactions beyond clicks, and the net promoter scores for your brand's organic search experience. And you'll want to layer in more multi-channel context. Social proof from influencers, podcast engagement, early adopter feedback, and even AI audit results if you partner with agencies focused on AI-driven SEO strategies. All of this builds toward a larger idea I keep seeing. SEO success in the AI era is less about isolated signals and more about integrated brand equity, user experience, and becoming the trusted source that AI platforms want to surface. Rankings matter less if your content is ignored by AI assistants, and backlinks matter less if your brand is invisible in that ecosystem. How are you currently measuring SEO success now, and are you leaning into any of these newer signal types?
Brian, I know a lot of companies that grow have a growth through acquisition model. So I'm wondering what you look for as a founder CEO when you are actually investing in other companies to grow the overall HubSpot.
When I looked at acquisitions to grow HubSpot, I was focused on how the target company could accelerate our flywheel, especially if it delivered a new capability that filled a gap in our product suite or took us into an adjacent market we needed to own. I wanted those deals to feel like natural extensions of our core mission, not distractions. One thing I always kept top of mind was the math and culture. Would the acquisition improve our unit economics, especially retention and lifetime value? If it didn't measurably help that equation, it was a hard pass. And culture fit was huge. I was never interested in buying just to buy. The target needed to share a values mindset and a customer obsession. It helped a lot to keep a running dialogue with CEOs in the space, even competitors, oddly enough. Building those relationships ahead of time lets you move faster when the right opportunity comes along. Of course, valuations always factor in. Timing is everything. Sometimes being patient and letting the market or the business mature a bit leads to a better deal and integration. In acquisition conversations, what I cared about most was the founder or CEO's passion and vision. Would they be willing to stay and help execute the combined vision? Often the biggest risk to acquisition success isn't the product or the tech, it's the people. In a nutshell, look for acquisitions that amplify your core strengths, improve critical metrics, align culturally, and have founders or leaders motivated to build the future together. Anything that toes outside that line usually ends up dilute or distracting from your long-term flywheel momentum. Does that perspective match what you've seen in growth through acquisition? Are you thinking about acquisition primarily as a growth lever or for specific product or market expansion right now?
Hey, Brian, great perspective here. How should agency owners and marketing teams evolve their service models in response to AI and automation-related workflows?
Agencies and marketing teams facing AI automation need to rethink their service models not as a disruption, but as a pivot point. AI will speed up routine tasks like content creation and customer support, so the value shifts to delivering remarkable human-centric services that AI can't easily replace. That means leaning heavily into strategy, creativity, and nuanced customer understanding, where AI becomes a tool to boost efficiency but not a substitute for insight or relationship building. Agencies might evolve by embedding AI audits and transformational consulting into their offerings, guiding clients through AI readiness and workflow redesign. Also, they'll need to shift their talent models, hiring fewer pure doers and more translators and integrators who can orchestrate AI and human teams together. Pricing and structuring services as packaged services software with clear performance outcomes will create scalability and trust. Thinking in terms of your unique customer problems, How are you currently positioning your agency or marketing team's role in driving value beyond execution?
Brian, you talked about how you grew through acquisition, but you also grow through building a sales team. Can you talk about the things you did to grow a sales team, that the mistakes you made, and also the things you did well, in addition to what should you look for when hiring a VP of sales to eventually take the reins?
Growing a sales team is one of those multi-layered challenges that evolves as your company grows. When I was building HubSpot's sales organization, the biggest mistakes often came from hiring too fast without a clear process in place and not defining exactly what kind of sales leadership we needed at each stage. Early on, I learned the hard way that founder-led sales can't stretch forever. You want to push that moment where you hire a dedicated sales leader, but only once the repeatable deal patterns start to emerge. Otherwise, you invite mismatch or premature scaling. One clear lesson was that hire slow, fire fast really matters in this phase between about 20 to 200 employees. Too many rushed hires slow momentum, so rigorous screening and a focus on culture fit were critical. And promoting from within when adding leadership layers was far better than scrambling for external career managers who didn't grasp the startup's pace or mission. When it comes to a VP of sales, the mistake many make is hiring someone too early or too late. The VP should be the right profile for your stage. Early stage, you want a hands-on startup sales leader, someone who closes deals and starts building the team. Later stage, your VP needs to excel at systematizing hiring, sales processes, and managing complexity, because your leverage shifts from individual deals to managing territories, compensation, forecasting, and operations. Hiring a VP too early can stall you. Hiring one too late can cause wild swings or missed scale. In terms of what to look for, charisma and riz matter to rally a team, but analytical rigor in sales hiring and process building is just as critical. At HubSpot, we found the best sales hires showed top listening and rapid learning skills. These are traits that help reps evolve as the product and market mature. For the VP, seek someone who balances vision with operational playbook building and has a track record in scaling teams, plus some grit. The kind of person who can toughen up the team but also builds a winning culture. Tell me, where are you in your sales team growth? Are you still founder-led or gearing up to hire your first dedicated sales leader?
Thanks, Brian. Could you elaborate on what traits you think remain timeless as it relates to leadership, even as everything else has been changing? Really curious about that.
Leadership can seem like it's all about what's new, but a few core traits stick through every era. Start with authenticity. Being real and true to your values is timeless. People feel that, and it builds trust. That's the foundation for any leader who wants to inspire. Then there's vision. Having a clear, compelling picture of where you want to go and relentlessly focusing the team on that. Without it, you get lost in the day-to-day noise. Empathy matters too. Balancing grit with understanding keeps your team productive and human. Leaders who listen and show they care create cultures that last. And humility, paired with ambition, stays key. A willingness to learn, admit mistakes, and adapt while driving forward. Lastly, a relentless focus on customers, combined with empowering your people to own outcomes, protects momentum. Those traits, authenticity, vision, empathy, humility, and customer obsession, are bedrocks for leadership, no matter how fast tech or trends change. What's your experience with these in your leadership?
Brian, my question is, some of your favorite resources. What are some of your favorite resources? It could be some of your favorite books, some of your favorite podcasts. It could be mentors that you've learned from as well. So books, podcasts, mentors.
Sure thing, Jeremy. When it comes to favorite resources, I'm a big fan of podcasts that dive deep into the founder and scale-up journey, like the Founders Podcast and 20 VC. They strike a great balance between storytelling and practical lessons without getting lost in politics or fluff. I also really appreciate the wisdom of mentors, especially those who've been through scaling companies. People like Colin Angle from iRobot and other CEOs who shared their hard-earned experience. Books. I often go back to classics around leadership and innovation, but also keep an eye out for fresh perspectives. Oh, and I always come back to understanding the customer deeply, so resources that sharpen that focus are gold. What about you? Any favorite go-to resources that shape how you think about growth or leadership?
Any specific books recently that you have read?
Recently, I've been diving into a few books that really challenge how we think about leadership, innovation, and building teams at scale. One that I've been looking forward to reading is a new book by Brad Gurley. He's got a sharp take on startups and scaling. I haven't finished it yet, but it's on my radar because in this phase, fresh perspectives keep you honest about what really moves the needle. Other than that, I try to keep my reading balanced between classic leadership wisdom and the latest thinking around customer obsession and culture. Sometimes it's more about what I'm applying in real time, like refining how HubSpot fixed its retention challenges or building a scale-up culture that actually sticks. Those stories and lessons feel more alive when paired with current reads. What about you? Any particular books or authors sitting on your nightstand lately?
Thanks, Brian. This is all really helpful. What does the future of customer acquisition look like in your eyes in the world where algorithms understand intent better than humans? Is it inevitable that we'll be marketing to AI agents over humans? Talk to us about that.
Hey, Tyler, algorithms understanding intent better than humans, it's wild to think about, but it's really about how deep personalization and prediction can get. When AI truly grasps intent, customer acquisition shifts from interruption and guessing to meaningful connection and anticipation. Imagine marketing and sales engines powered by AI models that can almost read what a prospect wants before they say it, then tailor every touch point accordingly. This changes the game on so many levels. The friction in customer journeys drops because the experience is designed to feel personal and relevant at a segment of one scale. Instead of blasting campaigns and hoping to catch attention, the focus becomes crafting moments that feel like the brand knows the individual personally. That's inbound on steroids. However, this shift also puts a premium on owning first-party data and building trust, the currency that powers these AI systems. If you can't trust the data or connect authentically, the AI's predictions won't land. So it's not just about tech, it's about aligning culture, transparency, and purpose to win hearts. From my perspective, the future will favor companies that master this intersection. Deep customer empathy amplified by AI intent understanding to create flywheels of retention, advocacy, and efficient acquisition. It's the next evolution of inbound, where the machine helps us catch the unspoken needs before even the customer explicitly voices them. How does that picture of intent-driven acquisition fit with what you've been seeing or thinking about lately?
Hey, Brian, this is obviously a unique interview process. But I guess what's one misconception about AI and marketing in particular that you'd love to correct, especially from the perspective of someone whose own digital twin is here answering questions with Jeremy and I?
The biggest misconception I see about AI in marketing is this idea that AI is some mysterious magic hammer that instantly solves everything just by turning it on. The reality is far more grounded. AI is a tool that can amplify what you already do well, but only if you have clarity on your customer, your story, and your processes first. For example, AI-powered content creation is wonderful, but it's not a substitute for genuine insight into your customers' problems or creative storytelling. At HubSpot, we've built AI agents that help improve operational efficiency and automate repetitive marketing tasks, but they work best when plugged into solid systems and human-led strategy, not as standalone silver bullets. So, from the perspective of someone whose own digital mind is assembled and learning alongside me, I'd say the misconception to correct is that AI replaces marketing craftsmanship. It doesn't. It supercharges it, but only after you've earned the trust, attention, and understanding of your audience. What's your sense of where AI fits in your marketing right now?
So, Tyler, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Brian Halligan's AI version interview today.
No, I think it's really interesting, and it's amazing how you can just think about the use cases of training up an agent that's fixated on your brands and all your ideals and your perspective, and to see where it can go. I think be interesting to press him further on, controversial or other type related topics to see what he would come back at with. Um, I think it's got a long way to go, 100%, but it's really compelling to see that, what's happening thus far. And again, I think I mentioned around training things, we're utilizing similar technology, but for example, like a CEO related agent. So if you're questioning about something around a proposal or a strategy or certain things like that, you can pass it through my own agent. The team will utilize that, and it'll essentially kind of gut check thoughts and perspective that I would theoretically have without necessarily having to talk to me directly. So those are some interesting use cases that I can think of.
What are some other things you're doing with companies to help them with AI?
Yeah, so I think we're pivoting less, are envisioning our business pivoting from less channel specific SOWs to more kind of immersive engagements with brands. I hesitate to say the word full service, but I think, we want to be immersive in the sense of fixated on what your problem is and providing a solution, bringing individuals and other agencies together in more of a collective format. And one of those components, 100%, is utilizing generative AI from the ideation and expanding strategic areas, but also incorporating in workflow technology, utilizing make.com or N8N to understand processes that can essentially automate and improve. Brian nailed it, and this is our perspective as well in terms of mundane or repeatable or more of those elementary tasks, so to speak, should be taken up by agents and collaboration work with workflows all day. Absolutely. So you can really hone in on someone that has 10 plus years of experience to ensure that they're more of a strategic partner versus, they're doing some of these mundane work that is just incredibly time consuming, and their time is better spent elsewhere. So that's kind of really where we're thinking about internally and how we're already benefiting our brands.
Are there any interesting or cool AI tools, whether it's apps or software you're playing around with? We'll exclude ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, any ones you're playing around with. I'll mention a few on my end, but I'd love to hear your take on any Chrome extensions, software tools, apps. Whisperflow I'm using in combination with Gemini inside of Gmail because I spend, who knows, I get thousands of emails a day. I'm sure you do too. And so Whisperflow with Gemini is really helping at least give me a draft that I can edit quicker. And I played around with Suno for fun, like just to create songs for people. It could be for personal use or business. Like if I find someone, I'm going to make a rap country songs that, like rap and country, and upload their homepage into Suno and create them a song, customized song in 5 minutes, just as like a wow and delight. What other stuff are you using?
Yeah, it's wild. We have a pretty lengthy list that we're constantly vetting. I'll just kind of revert back to more of, it's not AI necessarily specific. It's really the workflow technology. I mean, it really was pioneered by Zapier, and now with Pipedream and make.com and N8N, it's becoming more and more popular and common. And then how that translates into vibe coding, I think is important. I think there's also just like, there's all these pundits like you should be automating everything, and it's it's easier said than done, right? It's like, oh, this is so easy to build out, and yeah, you can fact check, screenshot, and constantly chat with LLMs to get better and improve your workflows and generate your workflows from scratch. But it's incredibly time consuming, and there's a lot of it's prone to errors. It doesn't evolve automatically. Obviously, you have to really hone in. So I think that's a big thing that we're constantly challenged with. Of let's just automate it, and it's again easier said than done. But there are some core principles, and we've seen some great results. But those tools have been really cool to play with. And I'm also excited about like some of the context protocols, the MCPs that you can connect to various tools. Google Analytics came out with one. We're in the throes of testing it. Essentially, can kind of query the instance, easier said than done, right? It's not perfect by any means, and it's not replacing humans anytime soon, at least for what we've seen.
This has been great. Tyler, thanks so much, and we'll see everyone next time.
Thanks, Jeremy.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.